Hey everybody, welcome back to the Whiskey Pete Project. If this is your first time visiting us and don't know what I'm talking about, we are rebuilding a Cabover here at Stevens Truck Power, and it's ours. It's just a project we're doing. It's getting an N14 in it, and this is the engine going in it, and the truck is outside. We've put wheels and tires on half of it, and the other half is getting done right now, and I did mention that we probably wouldn't film the other half, but it's out there getting wheels and tires. And we're in here putting this engine together. So we're doing this in little segments, just basically showing how to go through an N14. We put the crank in, obviously main bearings, rods, we got the pistons in, liners in, put the cam in last week. We're not timed yet. We're gear timed on the front, but not with the followers yet. But today we're going to go ahead and do cylinder heads. I'm going to get those on. So we got our dowels in the block here where they all sit, and we'll go ahead and put these heads together. This is a PAI kit we're using, and it really depends upon where you get your stuff from. I know Cummins, they come pretty bare. I mean, the valves are in them, but none of the fittings are in. This PAI kit came with some of the fittings in, so we had to remove some, and I'll tell you why here in just a second. But we're going to go ahead and get going on this, and hopefully it's entertaining. Stay here and watch, and we'll get the heads put on, and slowly we'll have this thing built and sitting back in a pretty cool Cabover. So if you come over here, one thing I want to note, and if you've done this a lot, this is going to maybe be boring to you, but I just want to talk to everybody, though, especially those that haven't done this or don't know. But on a N14 big cam, when you got the three heads like this, they're all the same. The heads are interchangeable. There's no particular place for one to go over another. So you have to put them together. When I say together, I mean you have to put the fittings in where they go, depending upon where you're putting it on the engine. So normally this head will sit like this on the engine, and and this is the fuel rails right here, and how the fuel gets from one head to another is a jumper tube. And so these heads, let me just squish these together for you so you can see. They'll sit like that on the engine, and then there's O-rings right here, and there's a little jumper tube like this, so the fuel can go from one to the next. The thing you got to be careful with is you want to make sure you get those jumper tubes tight for sure, but you need to make sure you got your plugs in the holes if you're not using those ports, or you're just going to run fuel out. So the only time you need these ports open is if you're using it on the back head, which is what this is. And see, we've got the plugs out there because that's where our fuel lines will go in to supply the fuel. And so those two will be empty. Everything else will be capped off till we get to the front, and then there's one on the front. Some N14s do not have a front pressure port. It just depends on the design. Usually Select does not have that. But anyway, you need to make sure you get your fittings in, because once the heads are on and those babies leak, you're going to be pretty upset when you got to pull a head back off to tighten them up. And it does happen once in a while, and after the truck's been running a while, they can actually leak and cause you some grief. So you always want to check them, make sure they're tight, so you don't have problems down the road. Okay, so now I know what ports I'm using. Okay, we got to cap off the ends because there's no jumper tubes here. So we're going to put O-rings there. Like so. And the same with the front, because there's no jumper tube there. And then your kit will come with these little caps and some new screws, and that's what keeps it tight. And there's one. And the second one. Okay, then you just take your screwdriver and tighten them up. And you can get them pretty tight. So. Okay, so we should be set up and ready to go. I've double checked all the plugs, they're tight, they're all in. That's what we want. We don't want any leaks there. And so we're ready to set the heads on. So this is the head gaskets. They say top. There is a direction. And if you've watched any of our videos, you've heard me probably do a little bit of overkill on the fire ring, but I will talk about it again. So this little raised lip right here, see that little edge? That's the fire ring, and that thing has to be pretty perfect. So if there's any nicks or out of that or anything, it's not going to hold a head gasket. So the head gasket sits on that, and here I'll show you why. See the ring? Okay, that sits right in that groove. So if you've got a chunk out of this fire ring, or it's flat, or you've hit it with a grinder, say you're just doing head gaskets and you hit it with a grinder and take some of that off, that head gasket's not going to sit right. So you got to be very careful. You can clean your block however you want, but when you get close to the liners, I suggest you do it by hand, real easy with some emery cloth, so that you don't get on that fire ring. So enough about the fire ring. But head gaskets go on like so, and they sit right down on that liner. Okay, we're on. Now you can do this. Look at that, I lost my Coke. You can do this however you want. I usually set these up on the way they're going on the engine, just so I don't get confused. So this is going to be the back head, middle head, front head, and that's how we'll set them on there. Just my way of doing it, because you definitely don't want to put the wrong one in the wrong spot. All right. Okay, I do have a T-handle that I use with this, but just the height we're at, I'm just going to lift them. But we got a T-handle that screws in there that lifts them up. We'll get them picked up here, wipe off the bottom a little bit. Get some brake clean. I mean, they're pretty clean, but it doesn't hurt to give them one last little wipe. All right, let's do it. then you just find the dial. We're on there. Like so. Come on, there we go. On the dials. Okay, we're down. Now it's time to put some head bolts in it. Starting to look like an engine now. All right, we got our head bolts going in. They're oiled, clean engine oil. Oiled the threads and the head and the washer. So, these are all new head bolts. You don't have to do new head bolts, but there is a stretch spec, I guess. And by the time, really honestly, my opinion, by the time you clean them and check them for pits and cracks, you could have just bought them. I mean, they're just not that much money. They're a few $100. It's just worth it to do it. Save you time and grief. I hate cleaning bolts. It's no fun at all. Sorry, boring process here, but then I usually just go through and start them a couple threads just to make sure they're started. I am going to run them down with the gun a little bit, so I don't want to just hit them and hope that they're started. So these have 3 stages. They go to 100, then 220, and then 90-degree turn from that. So we're just going to run these down slow. At least I thought. Okay, we're down. Now it gets pretty monotonous. Oh, I missed one. But it's time to start torquing. So you don't have to start with the middle head, but you do need to start middle out. I probably just start with the middle head because that's just what I was doing, but we're going to go to 100 and then 220 and 90 degrees. So this is going to be a little bit of a process, but once we get to 220, I don't generally recheck at 100. You're probably supposed to, but when we get to 220, I will go through and recheck them all again at 220. Make sure we didn't miss one, because once you start the turn angle, it's kind of hard to know where you've been. So
Seven's on the side. She's a highway slot machine. Whiskey Pete, roll the dice tonight. Keep the shiny side up and the greasy side down. Right from the desert to the coast where the old timers compete. We're keeping hammered down and Whiskey Pete, oh Whiskey Pete, roll on. South of Vegas, neon calling, where the truckers used to play. Grandpa Double.
all right, step one done. It's where you take a break, have a drink of Coke. Getting the 220 mark. I'm just going to do this with 3/4 torque wrench. I have a 1/2 inch that'll go there, but we got plenty of room to swing, so why not, right? So we're going to go 220. We'll go back through and check them all at 220, and then we'll show you how to do the turn. So a little more boring stuff going on. I think I already did these two, but we'll get going here.
Down on 21 before the break of day. Now this Peterbilt's our legacy, dressed in chrome and blue, with a royal flush of memories, riding shotgun too.
All right, we didn't film everything because it's mighty boring. But anyway, I got them all torqued at 220. We're going to go through and check them. And got a little noisier in here because we fired up the air compressor, because that's how I'll be turning these bolts. Show you that in a second. But so when I go through and double check them, this is just me. You can do it however you want. But I always just start on one end. I don't go in torque sequence. I start on one end and go to the other. That way I don't miss one, because I got to come back through and turn them. And so we don't want to turn something that's not torqued. So I'm just going to go through and do one at a time, right in a row. And the center ones will loosen up just a little bit, so you need to go back and check them.
Got the CB crackling stories. How about your good buddy on the air? This old Pete's got lady luck, riding in the sleeper there. Whiskey Pete, roll the dice tonight. Keep the shiny side up and the greasy side down. Right from the desert to the coast where the old timers compete. We're keeping hammered down in Whiskey Pete, oh Whiskey Pete, roll on. Three generations plus riding in this Cabover time machine.
Haha. Okay. It's a long process, but they got to be tied or you got trouble, right? So I'm going to wipe the heads off these bolts. Just to get any oil off, because I'm going to mark the head of the bolt. These ones actually have marks on them. Little angle marks. I just find it easier to use a paint pen so I can see what I'm doing. So these got to go 90 degrees. So what we're going to do is just going to mark them all the same direction. I'm just going to put a line down the center of every one of them like that. Get my paint going here. Wow. All right, we're ready to go here. Someone's going to bring up, you should mark your socket, and then you don't have to keep checking it. Yes, I know, but I'm so used to doing it this way that it's just how I do it now. So we're just going to turn them with a gun. You can turn them by hand if you want. I just find this easier. There's no reason you can't use a gun. And we're just going to make every line right now they're going this way. We'll go in torque sequence and make sure they're going north and south with the motor, and that will be 90 degrees. So I'll do a couple here and show you. That one's pretty dead on. This socket don't want to stay on the gun, so that doesn't help. So let's look at that one. I went a little too far, right? It's okay, just don't back up. All right, let's talk about these for a second. You can see I went way far on that one, but anyway, we want them all going this way. I still got one right there, right? So we'll go through and do them all like that, and we'll come back through and check them. The reason I like the line is because you know when you've done it. So if we go back through and check them, and we find one like that, we can go back and torque it again. If you're just using an angle on your torque wrench, you need to mark the bolt when you're done, because you don't know if you got it or not, right? After you've done them all. So we'll go through and knock these out. Give me just a second and we'll double check them all. All right, we are done. So if you remember, we had all the lines going this way. Now we're north and south with the engine. That's our 90 degrees. I did go a little over on a couple, but so that's how we do it here. You can do it your way, whatever, but that's how we do the 90 degrees. And I don't know, I find it easiest that way. So anyway, heads are on. We're ready to keep building. We got a lot of different directions we could go. I've talked about putting the pan on, and I need to do that. We do cover it up when we're not filming this, but I need to get the pan on. But I think our next step, as far as video goes, is we'll do the timing on the cam followers. So that'll be a long, interesting process, and you'll want to tune in for that if you've never done that before. A little bit of a job, but it'll be interesting and fun at the same time. So yeah, coming along, Whiskey Pete, we're getting there, starting to look like an engine again. Getting kind of exciting. I do have a little tidbit to show you of what's to come. We did buy a little bit of eye candy for this thing. It's not a super, I guess we're not super horsepower with this, but we got ourselves a full tilt coated manifold. Geez, it's heavy. What do you think, guys?
The other side's the top, I think.
Beautiful, huh? It's gonna look good on there. We do need to pull these dowels off, but oh yeah. Huh? It's gonna be cool. Oops. So the reason we got to pull these dowels, is I don't know if I think I failed to note, but these aftermarket heads can go on either a Select or Select Plus. So the Select manifold uses a straight bolt pattern. Select Plus uses a cross bolt pattern without the dowel. And so we'll be pulling these dowels out because these heads are interchangeable. Sometimes you'll get them from Cummins that is specific for what you're doing. Most of the aftermarket, they are drilled for either manifold. So we're going to go back with a Select Plus exhaust manifold. This is not a Select Plus engine, by the way, but we will go back with a Select Plus manifold. They're a little better manifold, they flow better, plus nice and coated and cool. So give us something to look at, I guess. But anyway, more to come. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll be timing next week. If you haven't watched any of our previous videos, go back and watch them. We love to hear your comments, what we should be doing with this Cabover. We have a few ideas, but not everything's set in stone, so feel free to give us an idea of what we ought to be doing different, or something we should add on it, or whatever. We'll be glad to take your advice and see what we can do. But anyway, yeah, go watch us on all the platforms. We're there on everything: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. And thanks for watching. We appreciate all the followers and all the comments and all the views.